Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy of the Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we are looking at the latest edition of 10 Days in the USA. Originally, I believe came out in like 2003 from Alan R. Moon and Aaron Weisblum. And so this is the brand new edition from the op. This is a game that's similar to Racco, where you're going to be putting things in not sequential order with numbers, but a journey from day 1 to day 10 across the USA. So let me show you how this game plays in the radar overview. My final forecast coming up. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for 10 Days in the USA looks something like this. In this game, players will be trying to make a 10-day journey through the United States. I am Canadian, so I am not totally familiar with US geography, so I may make a mistake with some of the, connecting states. I'm pretty good, but just want to let you know that up front. How does this game play? Well, it's pretty simple. Every player starts with a day 1 through 5 and day 6 through 10 player board with 10 different cards, and you will then be trying to make a path from this state, day 1, all the way to this state in day 10. You can either do it by going state by state that are connecting. So Colorado, I could go next to Nebraska because Colorado and Nebraska, I could walk from Colorado to Nebraska because they are connected states. I could also use a van to go through different states, and I could also potentially use airplanes to go through different states. So how exactly does this work? On your turn, you either take one of the 3 discard cards in the tray, or you take the top card from the draw pile, and then you swap. So if it's my turn, let's say I pick up this green airplane and I switch it with my van. I would then discard the van card. The reason is because if you ever have an airplane and you have the same colors on either side of the airplane, that is the airplane, you can travel from those states. So I could go from Colorado to Nebraska and then take an airplane and fly all the way to Connecticut, way up here. And now I'm back down to Michigan. While clearly Connecticut and Michigan are not anywhere close. So maybe on a future turn, I could pick up this van card and, swap it with my Michigan. So the vans work in a way you cannot go to a state that is connecting to another, but you will drive through a third state that borders the 2 states on either side. So from Connecticut to Pennsylvania, Connecticut, I could go through New York into Pennsylvania. So that works. And now I'm to Illinois. Well, I can't go there. So play goes until someone has a 10-day journey from day 1 to day 10. They cannot end or start their journey with a transportation card. If they have that, they say 10 days, and then everybody would check to see if they in fact have a legal set. And just for example, I set this one up. I believe that this is all good. Someone would say 10 days. They would put their 10 cards out here. And we will see if this is in fact correct. So they will start in Arizona. They will fly all the way up to Rhode Island because they're the same color. Then they would use a van to go to New Hampshire. So they would travel through Massachusetts. And then they would go to Maine. And then use an airplane to go to North Carolina. And then walk over to Tennessee, which would be quite the walk, and then they would finally walk over to Missouri. So this would be an example of a winning hand. So it's a race. Whoever can complete a 10-day journey first, they are the winner. I will say that Alaska and Hawaii are a little bit different. Alaska and Hawaii are kind of like wild states. So there are only 2 cards in the game that are white. If I would all of a sudden go like this, I could do that because any airplane can be attached to Alaska. Just the airplane or the state on the other side has to match whichever airplane that was used. And like I said, you cannot end or start with a transportation card, and the first player to get a 10-day trek is the winner. Let's move on over now and check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for 10 Days in the USA, a game that's over 20 years old from designers Alan R. Moon and Aaron Weisblum. I have never played the original. And then I heard the op was, reprinting it, re-releasing it, and they have, some nice artwork on this, and I was excited to play this game. And when I speak on the artwork, I love it how each of the states, they represent like the states with one specific thing. So for example, Arizona, they have the Grand Canyon. The artwork's great, but they use a very little amount of that artwork. These cards are very, very small. These cards actually make the cards in original Ticket to Ride, like those small Euro minis. They make those look big. These are very small cards, and I understand why the cards are small, because you need to, put them in these card holders, and if these card holders were any bigger, it would take up like ridiculous amount of table space. So I understand why these cards are small, but I would have loved to some way find more ways to show off the art, because I think the art is nice. I love it how, the state of Pennsylvania, they have the Liberty Bell, and then Ohio, they have a guitar for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and just different states. Being Canadian, I'm not familiar with all of the ins and outs on all the states and what each state is known for. But I love, Tennessee, Smoky Mountains, and Georgia, they have the peaches and things like that. So I like the artwork. I would love to see ways to make it in the game more. And I spoke on these cards. They're super, super small. They're not linen finish either, and which is fine. They're trying to keep a price point, but these things are so challenging to shuffle because they're so small, and they're what's the word? They're very waxy. So good luck trying to do a bridge shuffle on these. But components in this, they're all right. It's all right. It's functional. I will say at the same time, the art and everything looks much better than what I've seen from the original, because that was just something else. This is a family-style game that reminds me of Racco, a game, Racco, that I enjoyed playing growing up. In Racco, you're trying to get numbers in ascending order from 1 all the way to 50. And you're picking a card, and you're either swapping that or you're discarding it. And that's the same mechanic in this one. You're either drawing one of the 3 discard piles or one from the top. And so I like that aspect where you have 4 choices. You can pick one of the 3, or you can pick one blind off the top. And so I like that. I find this can be challenging for anybody who's not good at geography and who's not obviously familiar with U.S. geography. Like I said, I'm Canadian, so I know U.S. geography to a degree. I'll say that this was a little bit more challenging for my kids than I thought it would be, because you're kind of looking at all 10 days, and anytime you're taking a card, you're not necessarily working from day 1 to day 10. You can kind of work in and around all of them. And there is some luck involved, and it says on the back of the box, it says in the rule book, with some planning and a little bit of luck, you'll be able to win this, or you'll be able to win 10 days in the USA. To me, I can see why a lot of people like this game, and I can see why people don't like this game. As much as I love the mechanic of, sorting your cards, making a path, and the strategic elements of when you're going to use an airplane to jet across the country, and then hopefully be able to use one of the vans to then move back and make your trek work per se. I felt it was just it missed the mark for me. If I'm gonna play a game like this, honestly, I'm gonna play the game Ohanami, because Ohanami is a similar game in the sense of has nothing to do with the map, but you're kind of doing that whole Racco-esque stacking of cards. This game, you can get really lucky when you're starting off, you're starting 10 days. You could have 60% of your journey already done. It could happen. The likelihood of it is probably pretty low, but it could happen. So The luck side might be a little bit higher than the strategy side. But for those that just want a chill game, this is a game that you can sit with your friends and your family and you can just relax and you can visit and you can just play this game and just have a fun time. For me, it kind of missed the mark. Obviously, the card's ridiculously small and just the luck I was a little bit too much for me. But it may be a family staple for you. And it's been around 20 plus years. So obviously it's had the legs. But for me, it's a 60% chance of meeples. I enjoyed my time. I wouldn't be like jumping, hey, let's play this game. If I'm going to teach this style game, like I said, I'm going to play Ohanami because I like that a lot more. Maybe part of this is I'm Canadian, so there's a disconnect with U.S. geography. I really don't think all that much, but take that into consideration. Overall, 60% chance of meeples for 10 days in the USA. My name is Brent. Until next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.